Hello, this is Tara for the Real News Network. I'm here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and as you can tell behind me, I am at a Harris Waltz rally. And in just a few moments, Tim Waltz is actually going to come out and speak. But what is more important, I think, is the voters. And we've been crisscrossing back and forth across Milwaukee to hear from the voters directly. We have spoken to people who are evangelicals for Harris. We've spoken to people who are voting for Trump. And we even spoke to socialists who aren't going to be voting at all. In a critical state and a crucial city, passions are running high in the final day before the election.
My name's Joel Pujlowski. I'm from Cudahy, Wisconsin, and I come pick up some more Harris signs for my neighbors.
The Real News was on the ground in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, taking the temperature of residents, activists, and canvassers. Why are you a veteran against Trump?
Well, actually, it's of all the things, him belittling the servicemen. John McCain was the first step. And you can see it right on the wall, things he said about suckers and losers.
Milwaukee hosted the Republican National Convention in July, but the city is decidedly Democratic.
When you look at Milwaukee plus Madison, this campaign has realized that it's really important to focus on Milwaukee so that you don't leave good voters behind.
Milwaukee is also one of several Democrat strongholds throughout the state that could determine the winner today, which is why election officials are being as transparent as possible.
We are going to have in the morning a session where we're going to open up, and then there's a central count. So if you want to see the actual process of the counting, you could go in the central count, and then you could record what people are doing as they're counting the ballots.
But that's not the only concern on Election Day.
Well, one of the biggest things that we're seeing is that people are really confused. If they're isolated at home and they're getting their information from the television, they're asking us questions like, what's the truth?
Two canvassers told us that disinformation is rampant among voters.
And so it's become really, really important for us to knock on individual doors and be able to answer questions and to just go ahead and say, what do you care about? What is the truth?
And fears that Republicans will flood the city with poll watchers.
We had a negative experience last time.
One election official we spoke to said that in the previous election, she actually feared for her safety.
As an election commissioner, I will tell you that for a minute I was a little bit afraid because some of the poll watchers or like watchers that were there in the central count were just like right screaming at our faces, recording us live to private groups, and that's putting us in danger.
But not all Milwaukee residents were eager to vote.
We have not endorsed a candidate this year. So our line specifically is that, of course, we're not voting for Trump. Kamala Harris and the Biden administration have been the ones who have been perpetuating this genocide. And so that's a red line for us. We aren't endorsing Kamala Harris.
A local socialist activist who protested the Republican National Convention said that concerns about Palestine were motivating their members' choice to not embrace either candidate.
So there's no specific candidate that we're telling people to vote for. However, we're also not abstentionists. So, we're telling people to get their voice heard maybe through third parties or write-in votes to still show up and vote, but that we're not telling people to vote for either of the two major parties.
They also told us young members of Black and brown communities were disenchanted and not aligned with either candidate.
From a lot of the youth, we're hearing a lot of disappointment, unfortunately, and that's really difficult to hear. I'm an educator, and it's difficult working with youth. You view the youth as the future, right? And they're going to make the world better than what you leave them behind with. But many are expressing just not necessarily a nihilism, but it's just a disappointment with the state of affairs that they have to pick between two candidates that don't really represent their values.
But another important trend highlighted by the people we spoke to was the possible impact of women on the final results.
I think women are tremendously important in this election. Both young women who are coming up and wanting to see a world of more opportunities for them. And then it's been so interesting to see these older women who are fierce about their freedoms.
And that has prompted women to vote in greater numbers.
We get an opportunity tomorrow to shape the future for generations to come.
At a rally Monday night with Governor Tim Waltz, reproductive rights were on the agenda.
Let me speak to the guys in this room. I want you to think about the women in your life that you love. Their lives are literally at stake in this election. More than 20 states now have abortion bans. And our daughters and those loved ones you're thinking of now have fewer rights than their mothers and grandmothers. When Congress passes a law to restore the right to choose, to make Roe the law of the land, President Harris will sign it into law.
But here in Milwaukee, the attention is firmly placed on getting people out and on the ground, an effort that will culminate today as people go to the polls to decide once and for all who will be the next president of the United States of America. This is Tara Graham and Stephen Janis reporting for the Real News Network in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Thank you so much for watching the Real News Network, where we lift up the voices, stories, and struggles that you care about most. And we need your help to keep doing this work, so please tap your screen now, subscribe, and donate to the Real News Network. Solidarity forever.